The kids I babysit have a code word for danger, and they used it when their grandfather showed up. I'd been babysitting for the Martinez family for about 3 months when Claire sat me down on my second week and explained something that seemed a little odd at the time. She said her kids, Emma, who was 8, and Jake, who was 6, had a special code word for emergencies. If either of them said pineapple in a sentence, it meant they felt unsafe and needed help immediately. I wasn't supposed to react, obviously, or ask questions. Just get them out of the situation and call Claire right away. And she made me practice what I'd do if I heard it. I asked why they needed something like that, and Claire got this look on her face, half embarrassed and half scared. She said her father-in-law had boundary issues and sometimes showed up unannounced, and that he made the kids uncomfortable, but her husband didn't see it because that was his dad. She said she'd asked him to stop coming by when she wasn't home, but he didn't always listen. I told her I understood, even though I didn't really. It seemed like an overreaction. The kids were great. Emma loved drawing, and Jake was obsessed with dinosaurs. I'd fall into this comfortable routine where I'd pick them up from school, help with homework, make dinner, and play until their parents got home around 7. Emma would show me her latest sketches. Jake would make me quiz him on dinosaur names I couldn't pronounce. Normal kid stuff. I never had to use the code word. Never even thought about it after that first conversation. Until last Tuesday. I was in the kitchen making the kids grilled cheese sandwiches when the doorbell rang. It was 4.3 inches the afternoon. Not a time when people usually stopped by. Through the window, I could see an older man on the porch, maybe in his late 60s, wearing khakis and a polo shirt. He looked completely normal. When I opened the door, he smiled and introduced himself as Robert, Emma, and Jake's grandpa. Said he was just in the neighborhood and thought he'd stop by to see his grandkids. The kids were in the living room and I called them over. The second Emma saw him, her whole body went stiff. Jake actually took a step backward. Robert walked right past me into the house without waiting to be invited. He ruffled Jake's hair in this overly familiar way that made Jake flinch. He asked Emma if she'd give her grandpa a big hug. She didn't move. Robert laughed and said she was getting shy in her old age. Then he walked into the living room and sat down on the couch like he owned the place. He told me I could go back to making dinner, that he'd visit with his grandkids for a bit. I looked at Emma and her face was pale. Jake had moved to stand behind his sister. Robert patted the couch cushion next to him and told Emma to come sit. She shook her head. Robert's smile didn't change, but his voice got firmer. He said, "Emma, come give your grandpa some attention. I'm not going to ask again." That's when Emma looked right at me and said, "Jake and I made pineapple drawings at school today." My stomach dropped. The code word. I tried to keep my voice normal when I said that was great and asked if they wanted to show me in their room upstairs. Robert stood up quickly and said they could show their drawings right here. There was no need for them to go anywhere. His tone had completely changed. Less friendly, more commanding. I said, "Actually, we needed to go check on something in Jake's room real quick. A project for school." Robert moved to block the stairs. He said the kids weren't going anywhere until they spent some proper time with their grandfather. That I was just the babysitter and needed to remember my place. Jake started crying. Emma grabbed her brother's hand and said again, louder this time, "We made pineapple pictures with pineapple colors." Robert's face went red. He said to stop with the pineapple nonsense and get over here right now. I pulled out my phone and Robert saw me. He asked what I thought I was doing. I said I was calling Claire like she asked me to. Robert's expression changed completely. The fake friendliness vanished. He said I had no right to call his son's wife, that this was family business and I was interfering. He took a step toward me, and that's when I saw what Emma had been seeing all along. And that's when things took a turn I never expected. The rest of the story is on my channel or linked below.